Philip Stoten for EMS Now. I'm here at Productronica 2011. We're here to have a little bit of a discussion about trade shows, exactly where we are, trade fairs, exhibitions, conferences, whatever we want to call them. Got a very distinguished panel here. I've got Dr. Martin Lechner from the Messe München, Ryan Flaherty from SMTA, SMTA show as well, and Claire Suanders from the events. Guys, thanks very much, guys and girls. Thank you very much for
You're welcome.
Joining me. I'm going to start with you, Martin, because we've heard some very good things at the show this week. Productronica is one of those shows we come to every 2 years, and it's kind of a weather vane for what's going on in the industry. It's recognised as one of the kind of stalwarts of the calendar. Why do you think it is so successful? I talk to exhibitors. Some people think it's one of the keys to your success is that you are biannual. But what else makes this kind of show work here and not elsewhere in the world?
It is one of our oldest products we have here in Europe. We started together in 1964, Electronica and Productronica together. Due to the value chain, it was separated in 1968, and as a biannual show started, and from then on it's this international platform, and all participants in the electronics industry know this show from the very beginning. Yes. So everyone who is in this business knows from his father and from his grandfather to some extent the history of Productronica. And from 1968 until now, we have the different changes, the ups and downs in the industry. And Productronica is still a product on the top edge of this industry, and everybody knows that this is a place in the international platform where everyone meets. And year by year, or biannual year, it proved to be this very interesting show. And only one figure, you mentioned it before, we have this year's show over 50% international community gathering here.
And that's I mean, I don't know if you give me the exact statistics, but I think that's up from 2 years ago. 2 years ago it felt more German, this year it's more international. As a show, you can't just depend on being around longer than these two, not necessarily longer than us, but you can't just depend on the history. You've got to adapt to the market. What's changed over the last few years that you've had to respond to?
So the first of all was the challenge to go abroad. And so we started 10 years ago the Electronica and Productronica in China.
Okay.
And so it was not under the label of Electronica and Productronica, it was the Electronic Asia once, and then we changed it and adopted it to the mother of all shows. And so it became one important step to be present in the Asian market where all the production line moved into. And so in the first years we accompanied our small and medium-sized industry to go to Asia, to have a platform which has this label Productronica or Electronica. And so by that time, making also marketing and promotion in this area, Productronica here in Europe became more and more known to the international audience. And by this reflecting, coming back here. Then you see always new topics, and this is show by show the idea, like now we have this PCB marketplace to present the printed circuit board in a new way, to have a forum. We have the electronic storage manufacturing line, and we have the latest topic in Messe Munich is the printed electronics sector. And by highlighting these different industry sectors and focusing on these topics, we are up to date until now. So this is one.
So there's some globalization there in terms of taking the brand international, but also some constantly keeping up with technology. Claire, if I can come to you, you come from a background of the UK trade shows. We have had in the past some much larger UK trade shows, but the industry has changed and the offerings had to adapt. How's that changed and how's that impacted on what you're offering initially in the UK but also overseas at the moment?
The UK market obviously has changed because, as Martin mentioned, a lot of things went over to Asia. So we lost a lot of our manufacturing, so the industry is much smaller, but it's a very mature market. So we feel there's still a requirement for a show in the industry. It's important to have a place and to promote the UK manufacturing because the capabilities we have there are globally recognised. You know, we are extremely strong at design. So that's why we feel National Electronics Week is the right format. It offers a platform smaller than previous, not smaller than previous editions of National Electronics Week, but smaller than 10 or 15 years ago. But then, you know, you look at the industry, everything changes. You have to adapt with the industry. From our point of view as an event organiser, running an event of that size, if it suits the market, is perfect for us because, of course, you want to grow a show, but it has to be the same size as the market you're representing. Otherwise, your customers don't get value for money. And it just doesn't work out.
And then you're growing that by expanding that into other, or taking those exhibitors into other regions as well.
That's right. We're looking. What we do is we try to look at markets that wouldn't necessarily be an obvious choice to go and look at. So emerging markets, you know, China, India, very covered. With very strong events. You have the Productronica shows. You have the Netcon shows. We're looking. Currently, we're in Africa. We have National Electronics Week South Africa. The second edition will run in March. Right. The first edition was 2010. It's a small marketplace, but it's emerging. There's a greater level of interest. There's a lot of business being done down there. The learning requirements are fantastic. People are really interactive. It's like Europe was about 15 years ago. You know, engineers have their heads inside the machine. They want to know everything. It's really nice. Yeah. You know, they still think that they can learn something. And the same in North Africa. You know, they've had a few political issues.
Yeah, it's been challenging, hasn't it?
Yes.
One of them right at the time of your show last year.
That's right. We launched a show. There was a revolution, but you know, these things
happen.
But it's still an opportunity, and it's a marketplace that people are very, very interested in. And again, because we're a small event organiser, but we know our customers very well, so we can speak to them. We can see opportunities. We work with them, and we look at regions, and we also go and speak to the UKTI to help the UK customers get funding, and we always align ourselves with associations within the countries. So we work with the trade associations in the countries, we work with the publications, and we like to put seminars and workshops on, so there's a learning element as well as the exhibition.
Well, I think that's really important, and that very well fits in with the kind of stuff you do, Ryan. And your customers are really your owners. You know, you're a trade association, your members are pretty much in charge. I guess you're at that pointy end in doing pretty much what your members ask you to do. Has that changed massively?
Well, I mean, we're volunteer-led, so the message comes directly from the members, and you know, we can't go wrong. They're doing exactly what they want. We've found a lot of success with local shows, local markets. You know, as far as trade shows go, we've had several events in all different regions and around the globe too. Smaller shows, but very focused people coming to them. And that's been probably our key to success.
And is that with a lot of seminar, again, educational content?
Pulling in, heavy technical content seems to pull. You get people that really want to know that. See the stuff, see how it works.
That's important. And just to come back to this co-location issue, National Electronics Week this year in Birmingham is co-locating with a number of other shows. Your Chinese event is partially developing through co-location with other shows. Is that something that's key in the early stage, or is that kind of a long-term strategy in particular markets? Perhaps you first, Claire.
For us, I think it's important because, as I say, the UK market's established. We're co-locating with one exhibition next year, which is 100th year, so it's 100 years of manufacturing. Right. So, you know, none of us here will remember that.
You found a show that's older than Productronica.
I did, I beat you. But, you know, so you have to, I think, there's still a want, there's still a requirement, but the other thing is, it's really important, is people's time is so limited now. You know, we've had with the downturn, we've had the recessions, people have got less time, so once they go out to a trade show, they have to get as much value from that as they can, and that's how we see the benefit of the co-locations.
Of the co-location. And what about you guys in Asia? You know, the Asian market's for trade shows is very different to the European market. So you're kind of in there as a player rather than a dominant force. How does the co-location work there? You co-locate with which events for your...
We are co-locating in EP China with the Semicon show, as well as with the CPCA show in 2011. And we have another co-located show with our own brand, the Laser World of Photonics.
Okay.
Yes, I can confirm it's a matter of efficiency to make the audience, you get a greater awareness from the audience, and the audience has additional benefits to visit your shows. And on the other hand, these three partners are in competing to some extent.
Okay.
And every time when you would like to enlarge your show, then definitely if you are to some extent not only co-locating in the location, but also having more or less profile overlapping, then it is some kind of challenge to solve it between all partners.
That's true. We have the same thing. We have several of our exhibitors who are doing the other shows, and it's not worthwhile them maybe taking two stands, but it's better for them because they have the benefit of maybe
a broader audience.
You may lose some meters, but then you're going to gain something on the other parts.
But which organizer is getting, so to speak, the benefit? And this is always one question. It is perfectly if you have new shows launched. And if you look at the different shows, even Messe München launches shows with 3,000 up to 5,000 square meters. Is gross, and we are trying to co-locate with brand names of Messe München or with other brand shows. And the competition abroad is much higher than we have here in Europe, and therefore, yes, co-location is something I prefer every time. But with all the pros and cons just discussed.
And Ryan, from your point of view, it's not so much co-location, but it's actually embedding SMTA in other events as providers of conference content. And you're always happy to work with international trade organizations on that basis.
Definitely. We've been able to spread out in several different areas, hitting counterfeit electronic issues, medical electronics. We started just kind of general SMT, and it's been great to kind of spread into these new areas through people that are already established, and then we can help them bring in some of that good technical content. It's a perfect match.
It's a perfect play, and content and audience tend to be what delivers the exhibitors to these shows. So those things are absolutely key. And in terms of trade shows moving forward, where are you guys looking at next? You're into all kinds of new markets. You guys probably aren't going to. Maybe you don't want to tell each other. I don't know. Maybe this is a delicate.
We go places
topic.
No one else wants to go.
I talked to the.
I'm not sure, because if you look at our sister company, the EMAG, which is organizing shows abroad and especially designed for this, then we are in Algeria as well in Tunisia. So. We are following.
There are markets everywhere. We talked to the contract manufacturers and the capital equipment guys, and a lot of them are talking about South America, particularly Brazil. A challenging place to do business.
Yes.
An interesting place to do business. Is that somewhere MMG or MMI particularly looks to?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I think if you look at Latin America, South America, you name it, discussed for 40 years. Mercosur was one of those initiatives to be established in this area together with all the surrounding states, with Brazil. Yes, I think we have, or all of us organizers have the chance by using these new events coming up, not the new events, the coming event, the soccer championship as well as the Olympic Games, and they will create awareness to the worldwide audience and what happens to all the things to be produced. If you look at VW, Volkswagen, if you look at Daimler, they have their plants already there. Yes, the sporting goods industry will be next, definitely. We have one product called ISPO, Sporting Goods Show, the world's known show. in the market. We will spread out with this product.
Yes.
Then together with Nuremberg, we are having a drink tech show organized, and so on. We try to get a taste of Brazil, to get a taste of this continent.
Gradually, and it seems to me the key is focusing on the areas that you're good at in terms of what part of the show environment you're good at. Particularly if we look at MMI, for me it's the exhibition, it's the trade fair part. If we look at SMTA, it's all about content, delivering that content for your members. With new events, it's a much more agile organisation that can launch an event in a very short time and actually have some success with it. So there's kind of space for all those models. So I think that's really interesting, and we've got a good idea. I wanted to end with a little bit of a test, find out something, and it's going to be interesting. We talked about Productronica, started in 1968. Okay, 64, and then it split in 68. I was born in 63, so it's not older than me. It's definitely older than these two. When was your first Onica? Productronica or Electronica? What was the first one you attended? What year?
This was in 1997.
1997.
Same as me.
Ah, so you two are a dead match. What about you, Ryan?
This is my first
this
one.
This is
that
your
I've
first?
attended.
Premiere.
Yeah, SMTA has been here since you opened it up to the international organizations, but it's my first time.
How are your feet feeling?
Oh, it's definitely it feels like a little marathon myself, but I'm ready for it. I've been training.
So I'm gonna win that one. My first one was '89, and I've done every year since. So quite a few there.
We can see that though.
You can see that. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks very much for talking to me. Thanks for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to talking again soon.
Thanks a lot.
Dum 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 dum.